You're still here. You were supposed to go home.
Why didn't you refer me to someone else when you saw my name on that chart? Why didn't you just let me go?
Because I've been trying to make it right since the 7th grade.
Okay, so here's the thing nobody tells you about getting a tumor diagnosis. It doesn't feel real, like at all. You're sitting there in this paper gown that keeps sticking to the back of your thighs, and the doctor's talking, and you're nodding like a person who is processing information, but inside your head, there's just this sound, like a television channel that's gone to static. Kss. That's it. That's the whole thought. Dr. Harmon said cardiac mass, and I heard blah, blah, blah. He said surgical referral, and I heard, your life is about to become unrecognizable. He handed me a form on the way out, and I folded it into my pocket without reading it, walked to my car, sat down, and stared at the steering wheel for so long, a parking attendant knocked on my window to ask if I was okay. Fine, I told him. Great, totally fine. I was so obviously not fine that he gave me a free hour of parking out of pity. I read the referral form in the car. I'm a city planner. I read everything. It's a compulsion. I once read the entire terms and conditions on a streaming service at 2 a.m. Don't ask. So I read it front to back, slowly, until I got to the bottom. Recommended specialist, Dr. Ivana Reyes, MD. Cardiothoracic surgery, Northwestern Memorial Hospital. I read the name 3 times. Then I put the form face down on the passenger seat like it had personally offended me. Then I picked it up and read it again because I hoped I'd misread it. I had not misread it. You have got to be kidding me, I said to nobody. My voice cracked on kidding. And then, I don't know why, I'm not a crier. I never cry in parking garages. My eyes went hot and wet, and I sat there for a second just absolutely losing it over a name on a piece of paper. Because it wasn't just a name, it was that name. And I hadn't thought about that name in 18 years. I'd worked very hard not to. Elmwood Park, 2004. I was 12 years old and I had exactly one good thing going for me, which was that I could disappear into a book so completely that the real world stopped existing for a while. I needed that skill because the real world, specifically the cafeteria of Jefferson Middle School, was brutal. Ivana Reyes sat at the center table. You know the one. Every school has one. The table that exists at the exact gravitational middle of the room. The one everyone orients themselves around without discussing it. Ivana didn't just sit there, she presided. At 12 years old, she had this way of moving through a space like she already decided it belonged to her, and she was mostly right. I don't know why she picked me. I have turned this in my head for literally 20 decades, and I still don't fully understand it. I wasn't competition. I wasn't even visible. I was the quiet new girl in the secondhand windbreaker, eating lunch alone with a library book, trying to take up as little space as possible. Maybe that was exactly it. One Tuesday, she walked past my table with her group trailing behind her, and she stopped. Just stopped. Looked down at me, looked at my windbreaker. It was blue. It had a small bleach stain on the left cuff. It had belonged to my older cousin Danny. And she said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "Where do you even shop? The parking lot?" Her friends laughed. A few other kids laughed. Someone at the next table turned to look at me and then looked away fast, the way people do when they're relieved it isn't them. I didn't say anything. I looked back at my book and pretended to read. She moved on. The laughter faded. I sat there and read the same sentence 14 times without absorbing a single word, my face burning so hot I thought I might actually combust. I never wore that jacket again. I shoved it to the back of my closet, and when my mom asked where it was, I said I lost it, and she was tired from her double shift and didn't push it. That was just the beginning. There were 2 years of it. Small, precise cruelties. Nothing dramatic enough to report, nothing that left marks. Just the slow, steady work of making a person feel like they don't belong anywhere. I cried in bathroom stalls, I took longer routes to class, I ate lunch with my book held up in front of my face like a shield. My mom got a job offer in Evanston the summer before freshman year, and I helped us pack so fast she thought I'd lost my mind. I didn't lose my mind. I just desperately needed to leave. And I did. And I grew up. And I became a whole, functional adult person with a job I loved and an apartment I paid for myself and a life that Ivana Reyes had no part of whatsoever. Until she was holding my chest x-rays. I almost transferred to Mayo. I looked it up. I looked up Houston, too. I made a whole spreadsheet. I told you, city planner, it's a disease, with wait lists and success rates and travel logistics. And then I looked up Dr. Ivana Reyes. Her success rate was in the 98th percentile. She had 3 published papers on the exact type of tumor sitting in my chest. The hospital website had a photo of her in scrubs, looking like she'd never failed at anything in her entire life, which tracked, and I stared at that photo for an embarrassingly long time. I closed the laptop, opened it again, closed it. Then I called Northwestern and confirmed the pre-op appointment, and I told myself it was purely practical, and I almost believed it. The consultation room was cold in that specific, aggressive hospital way. I was wearing my good blazer over the paper gown because I needed to feel like a human being from at least the waist up, and I was staring at that motivational mountain poster. Every summit starts with the decision to climb. I'm serious, it actually said that when the door opened. She walked in reading my chart. For 2 full seconds, I had the advantage. I could see her, and she couldn't see me. And I used those 2 seconds to feel approximately every feeling a human body is capable of feeling simultaneously. Fear, anger, something horribly close to awe because she was, okay, fine, she was stunning in a way that felt genuinely unfair given the circumstances. Tall, dark hair pulled back, white coat with her name in navy thread, the kind of composed that looks effortless but absolutely isn't. Then she looked up. The fluorescent light buzzed, the mountain poster said nothing helpful. Her face did something I didn't expect. It didn't go blank and professional, it went stricken, like actually stricken, like someone had just told her something terrible. The color shifted under her skin. Her hand tightened on my chart. "Miss Calloway, I've reviewed your..." She stopped, swallowed. "Tessa." And the way she said my name? God, not like a greeting, like an admission. Something cracked open in my chest that had nothing to do with the tumor. I slammed it shut immediately. "Dr. Reyes," I said, and my voice came out harder than I intended, which was fine, which was good, actually. "Funny seeing you here." She flinched, small, barely visible, but I saw it. "I can refer you to a colleague." You could have done that before I drove 40 minutes and sat in a paper gown for 20 minutes. "I didn't know it was you until just now. The name didn't..." She stopped, tried again. "Calloway isn't the name I got married, divorced, kept his name." I crossed my arms. "Not that it's relevant." "No, of course." She clicked her pen, unclicked it. Something I'd never seen on the hospital website. Ivana Reyes, uncertain. "I really can refer you out. It would be completely..." "Are you good at your job?" "I'm sorry?" "Your job. Are you good at it?" I held her gaze. "Don't perform modesty. Just tell me." Something steadied in her expression. "Yes." "Best in the hospital?" A beat. "Yes." "Then sit down and tell me what's in my chest." She sat. She told me, and I'll give her this, when she was talking about medicine, the uncertainty vanished completely. She was clear and specific and thorough in a way my other doctors hadn't been, drawing a rough diagram on the back of a printed sheet when I asked a question, explaining without being condescending. She treated me like someone who could handle the truth, which I appreciated because I absolutely cannot handle anything less than the truth. When she finished, I said, "What are my odds?" "High," she said. "In my hands, very high." "That's not a number." 93%. "And the 7%? She looked at me steadily. "I don't intend to be in the 7%. People don't intend to be in a lot of things. They end up there anyway." Tessa, don't. My voice came out sharp. Sharper than I meant. Don't use my name like that. Like where I stopped, pressed my fingers against my eyes for a second because I could feel my face doing things I didn't want it to do. The silence was horrible. You're right, she said quietly. I'm sorry. Which part are you sorry for? She opened her mouth, closed it, and the look on her face, not guilty exactly, something rawer than guilty, something that looked like it had been living behind her eyes for a long time, waiting for this exact moment, made my throat tight in a way I absolutely refused to deal with. We don't have to do this right now. No, I agreed, we don't. I gathered my things, I kept my movements controlled and deliberate. At the door, I stopped because something occurred to me that I needed to say. I'm not transferring, not because of anything to do with you, because you're the best option and I need the best option, and I'm not going to let 18 years of history make me do something medically stupid. I turned around. When I'm in the operating room, you are my surgeon. That's it. That's the only thing you are. Ivana Reyes looked at me from across the cold room, my chart still open in her hands, and nodded.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing I didn't expect. The thing that kept me awake that whole night, staring at my ceiling with my heart beating too fast in my chest. The heart she was going to have to cut open in 60 days. When I turned to leave, I saw it. On top of my chart, in the corner, half covered by her thumb, a sticky note. Small, yellow. Written in handwriting I didn't recognize as hers yet, but would come to know very well. Tessa Calloway, Elmwood Park. And below it, underlined twice like she'd done it while pressing hard, find a way to make this right. She'd known. Before I ever walked in, she'd looked at the name on the chart and she'd known. And instead of referring me out quietly, instead of removing herself from the case without explanation, she had written herself a note. Find a way to make this right. I walked to the elevator. I pressed the button. I stood there with my arms wrapped around myself while the numbers counted down. And I thought about a girl in a parking lot jacket eating lunch alone with her book held up like a shield. And I thought about the look on Ivana Reyes's face when she'd said, I'm sorry. Like she'd been practicing it for years, like she'd been waiting for someone to finally give her the chance. The elevator opened, I got in, and somewhere above me, on the 4th floor of Northwestern Memorial Hospital, Ivana Reyes was still sitting in that cold consultation room. I wondered how long she'd stay. I want to be clear that the cafe thing was not my idea. It was appointment number 3, and it had already been a bad day before I even got to the hospital. I'd been dizzy all morning from the new medication, I'd spilled coffee on my work laptop, and my roommate had casually mentioned she was looking at options for my room, which, okay, Brianna, good to know where we stand. So by the time I was sitting on the examination table listening to Ivana tell me about my pre-surgical blood work, I was already running on fumes and bad feelings. How are you sleeping? She asked, not looking up from my chart. Fine, I said automatically. She looked up. Tessa. What? You have the eyes of someone who hasn't slept in 4 days. I opened my mouth to argue and then just deflated, like a balloon with a slow leak. 3, I said. 3 days. She set the chart down, which apparently was a big deal. Dana, the nurse, told me later that Ivana doesn't put charts down mid-appointment. Ever. The medication affects sleep cycles, she said. That's on me. I should have warned you. Yeah, you should have. I'm adjusting the dosage. She made a note. Are you eating? Enough. What does enough mean? It means enough, Ivana. I'm not 12. I winced the second I said it. Sorry, that's not... I didn't mean... It's fine. It wasn't. Tessa. She almost smiled. Almost. It's fine.
The appointment wrapped up, and I was pulling my coat on, already dreading the drive home, when she said, very casually, very much like she wasn't really saying it, "The cafeteria downstairs is still open. I want to walk you through the surgical timeline, and it might be easier if we're not," she gestured at the examination table, "doing this." I looked at her. She looked back, completely neutral. "Fine," I said, "but I'm getting the good coffee, not the stuff from the cart. The good coffee is still bad coffee." "I know. I just want the option." She laughed. A real one, short and surprised, like she didn't mean to, and I felt it do something annoying to my chest that I chose not to examine. Here's the thing nobody prepares you for. Nobody says, hey, when you're facing open heart surgery, you might find yourself sitting in a hospital cafeteria at 8 p.m. across from the woman who made you cry in bathroom stalls in 7th grade. And it might feel like the most natural thing in the world. Nobody warns you about that. She did walk me through the timeline. She drew a diagram on a napkin, which was unhinged for someone with her credentials, but it was actually really helpful, and I didn't say that out loud. She answered every question I had without making me feel stupid for asking, which after 3 months of doctors talking at me felt like water after a drought. "You're different when you're explaining things," I said. She looked up. "Different how?" "Less," I searched for the word, "armored." Something crossed her face. She looked back down at the napkin. "Medicine is the one place I always know what I'm doing," she said quietly. "And everywhere else?" A long pause. "Everywhere else, I'm figuring it out." I didn't know what to do with that, so I stole one of her fries, and she let me, and we sat there in the bad cafeteria light until the staff started stacking chairs around us. We did it again after the next appointment, and the one after that. I told myself it was just easier, that I was just getting information, that it meant nothing that I was putting on my better jacket before appointments now, or that I'd started looking forward to Thursdays in a way that had nothing to do with medical updates. I was lying to myself spectacularly. Then came the day everything blew up. I was in the cardiology wing getting blood work when I heard 2 nurses talking around the corner. They weren't being secretive, they just didn't know I was there. Reyes blocked the Mercy transfer herself, apparently, told scheduling it was too complex to hand off. Seriously? The Calloway case? She's been in that chart more than anything else on her board. I stood very still. The walls of the corridor felt like they were breathing. I had been told the transfer hadn't gone through because of insurance, because of scheduling. I had been told it was nobody's decision, just paperwork, just the system doing what systems do. I had been told this by Ivana. I found her in the hallway outside the residence lounge. She saw my face and knew immediately. I watched the color leave hers. "You blocked my transfer. Tessa, say yes or no." Silence. "Ivana?" It was the right medical call. That is not a no. Your case required continuity of... Stop. My voice cracked, and I hated it. You sat across from me 6 times. You drew me diagrams on napkins and asked if I was eating, and you never once told me that the transfer went through you, that it was your choice? I know. Why? She looked at me, and for a second I saw it, the thing she never let out, the thing she kept behind the white coat and the clipped professional voice. Something desperate, something that had been there since the moment she looked up from my chart and saw my face. "Because I needed to be the one," she said. "I needed to be the one to fix it." The hallway was quiet. A resident walked past, pretending not to stare. "That wasn't your choice to make," I whispered. I picked up my bag and walked to the elevator. She didn't follow.
That night, I sat on my couch and stared at nothing for a long time. My phone stayed dark. No texts, no calls. And then, at 11:43 p.m., something slid under my front door. A folded piece of Northwestern notepad paper. My name on the outside in handwriting I recognized. My hands were shaking when I opened it. I read it once, then I sat down on the floor right there, back against the door, and read it again. And somewhere in the middle of the second read, I started crying. Ugly, messy, the kind of crying you do when something you've been holding for a very long time finally lets go. Because the letter didn't make excuses. It just said, "I'm sorry for all of it. The jacket, the chair, the bathroom stall I didn't know about until right now. And this, I'm sorry for all of it. Tell me what you need. I'll do it. I." My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I opened it. "I've been sitting outside your building for 20 minutes. I don't know if that's insane. It probably is. You don't have to come down." I looked at the door. "I just needed you to know I'm here." My heart, my broken, tumor-having, about-to-be-cut open heart, did something it had absolutely no business doing. I stood up, I grabbed my keys, and I went downstairs. I don't remember the surgery. Obviously, I was unconscious. But there's this specific terror in knowing that the last thing you'll remember is counting backward from 10 on a cold operating table, staring up at fluorescent lights, and then just nothing. A cut in time. One moment you exist, and then you blink, and 8 hours have disappeared, and apparently someone had their hands inside your chest while you were gone. Wild. Truly wild. I woke up making a sound I have never made before and hope to never make again. Somewhere between a groan and a wheeze. My throat felt like I'd swallowed gravel, and my chest felt like someone had parked a car on it, which, medically speaking, was not far off. "Hey." I turned my head, and there she was, still in scrubs, hair escaping everywhere, sitting in the chair beside my bed like she'd been there a while. Which, I found out later, she had. 4 hours after a 9-hour surgery. The woman had been awake for over 20 hours. "You look terrible," I rasped. She laughed, and it came out shaky. "You're one to talk." "Did it..." I swallowed, winced. "Did it go okay?" "It went perfectly." She said it like she needed me to believe it as much as she did. "You did great." "I was unconscious." "You did great anyway." I would have laughed, but my ribs had opinions about that, so I just groaned instead and let my head fall back against the pillow. "You're supposed to go home." "Ivana, you have a job." "I am aware." "Go home." "In a bit." She wasn't going anywhere, and we both knew it. So I stopped arguing and just lay there letting the reality of being alive settle over me like a warm, heavy blanket. Alive. Still here. Heart beating. I could hear it on the monitor, this steady, indignant little beep that said, "Still here, still here, still here." Ivana reached over and took my hand. She didn't say anything. Neither did I. Still here. Recovery is humbling. I don't care who you are. 8 weeks of your own body treating you like an enemy. Exhausted by stairs, winded by walking to the kitchen, napping like a Victorian invalid at 2 in the afternoon. I, a person who used to run 3 miles every other morning, was genuinely proud of myself for making it to the mailbox and back on day 11. Priya flew in from Boston and stayed the first week, which I will owe her for the rest of my life. She filled the fridge, bullied me into taking my medication, and crucially, did not make me talk about my feelings when I didn't want to, which is the mark of a truly exceptional friend. Ivana texted every day. Not long texts, short ones, very Ivana. How's the pain? Are you eating? Did you sleep? Practical questions that somehow didn't feel practical at all. I texted back, every time. I told myself that was also practical. She started coming over 3 weeks into recovery. Officially, it was follow-up care. She'd listen to my heart with her stethoscope and make notes and adjust my medication, and then somehow we'd end up on my couch for 2 hours talking about nothing and everything. She told me about her brother in Phoenix, about quitting piano at 14 and regretting it, about her dad, who was also a surgeon, who she'd spent years resenting and then spent years becoming. "Does that bother you, being him?" "It did," she said. "Now I think some things are just in you. The trick is what you do with them." I thought about that for a long time after she left. One evening, about 5 weeks in, she was listening to my heart, just routine, just her job, and when she pulled the stethoscope away, her face did this thing, this quiet, private, overwhelmed thing she didn't know I could see. "What?" I said. "Nothing. Ivana." She looked up. "It sounds right," she said. Every time I hear it, I think about how easily it could have." She stopped, pressed her lips together. I reached up and took the stethoscope out of her hands and set it aside. Then I held her face in my hands and kissed her, soft and slow, and felt her exhale against my mouth like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. When we pulled apart, she looked at me with those dark eyes and said quietly, "I have wanted to do that since the cafeteria." The bad cafeteria? The very bad cafeteria. I laughed. A real one, which hurt my ribs, which was completely worth it. 3 months later, my follow-up scan came back clean. Ivana got the results before I did, because of course she did. She was already in the lobby when I came through the cardiology doors, out of her white coat, hands in her pockets, watching my face as I walked towards her. "Clean?" she asked. "Clean." She closed her eyes for a moment, just one breath, long and slow. Then she crossed the lobby and hugged me, really hugged me, arms tight, face in my hair, right there in the middle of Northwestern Memorial at 2 in the afternoon. "I told you," she murmured. I agreed. "I told you nothing was going to happen." You're gonna say that forever, aren't you? Minimum 10 years. I pulled back and looked at her. This woman who was my worst memory and somehow improbably my favorite person, who held my heart in her hands, literally, actually held it, and gave it back to me fixed. 10 years, I said. "Okay." She smiled. Not the almost smile, not the barely there professional one, a real one, full and warm and just for me. "Okay," she said, and we walked out into the Chicago cold together, her hand in mine, both of us heading somewhere that finally felt like forward.